This weather extra.
It's 19 down the hours to the beginning of the new year, and looking ahead to the first big storm of 96, we've got your forecast. Thanks for dialing up the old Weather Channel here on New Year's Eve. I'm Mike Seidel.
And I'm Mike Bono. Meanwhile, 1995 is coming to a soggy close with light rain and snow, making safe driving a high priority this New Year's Eve. The weather created hazardous driving conditions this morning in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Residents battled slick roadways caused by freezing drizzle this morning and low visibility caused by fog that persisted throughout much of the day. Light snow will fall across the area tonight and continue into Monday, with more fog expected again for tomorrow morning. Well, it's looking pretty messy now. As we see, the temperatures would support some freezing precipitation and frozen precipitation. In fact, around Omaha, we've seen a little bit of sleet and freezing drizzle combined. Temperatures right around freezing, and they're really not as cool as it could be the last day of 1995 in the North Country. Kind of sultry in the south. South Florida coming in Miami with some low 70s for the Orange Bowl parade, and the rain stopped just in time. Isn't that lovely? We're looking at some fog, though, moving into Memphis, Tennessee, and north of St. Louis, close to Chicago. And another major fog problem in the morning as time rolls on, and also some rain up to about South Jersey and on into Pennsylvania. But it looks like for the big ball coming down in New York City, pretty dry and really not that cold conditions. The south, on the other hand, has much heavier rain moving on through. Look at this rain developing. Now there's an upper low all the way back through the Four Corners in the Rockies, moving some rain with increasingly cold temperatures in Oklahoma. Should turn to snow by about morning. But ahead of it, a lot of tropical air coming up, about a half an inch of rain south of Atlanta in the last 6 hours. Some rain in and out of South Florida. That's going to be the situation tomorrow for the Orange Bowl game, too, by evening. Fog forming in West Virginia and Virginia, and a little bit of snow in upstate New York. Watch out for this front. It will bring much colder weather on into the northern part of the nation, and you're going to see that the snow is going to begin spreading into the northeast out of the Midwest, but a lot of rain in there, too, so stay tuned for the latest on that. This is mostly aloft, so New York City really doesn't have much to worry about for the New Year's Eve festivities, and to the west looks like rain in a lot of Pennsylvania and turning to snow by morning. Here's Mike.
Okay, Mike, many areas of the west coast and the Midwest awoke to fog this morning due to a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and this was the scene this morning in Pacifica, California. This is a suburb of San Francisco, just south of town, and it was foggy from there all the way to Half Moon Bay, and you can see that fog bank which tends to roll in off the Pacific Ocean. There it is. Kind of hangs around till mid to late morning, then kind of lifts, burns off, or kind of moves back out over the Pacific. Now, the fog that we see generally in the plains and back east is not the advection fog here, but the radiational type of fog. And you've got to have a lot of moisture, and that's one of the reasons we have the fog. Why is it so foggy? Well, moisture coming in from the Atlantic and from the Gulf of Mexico because of our high pulling off the coast. The really dry air, that stuff has been to the north. So the dew points are unusually warm. As we indicate here, dew point temperatures as high as 30 in Chicago and Detroit. Normally your afternoon high should not be much more than 30 degrees in both of those cities. So you combine those high dew point temperatures, and then you cool down the air at night with a wet ground or a snowpack, and you get instant fog, especially in places where the dew point temperature equals the actual air temperature on your back porch thermometer. Atlanta, Myrtle Beach, when the dew point temperature and the air temperature are the same, that is a point of condensation. Also, the humidity theoretically is 100%, and by definition it's 100%, so you get fog. And we had it this morning, and visibility is way down, below a mile from Chicago all the way to Houston, southeast foggy, Florida Panhandle. And as we'll see in our forecast coming up, some of the same areas will be socked in with a soup tomorrow morning.
Well, as Mike just showed you, fog covered large areas of the country this morning. With a look at how fog forms and how it affects travel, here's Dennis Smith.
Clouds way up in the sky are pretty to watch and cause few problems to most people. It's when clouds lie right on the ground, fog, they become a problem. Fog develops when air cools and moisture condenses on certain particles in the air. As the air cools, driving the relative humidity up to 100%, then more moisture condenses and the fog thickens. If water droplets that make up fog are far and few between, visibility will only be impaired slightly. But when they become more numerous, it can be a travel nightmare. On the roadway, slow up. Don't overdrive your headlights. Keep your headlights on low beams. High beams only scatter the light even more. Dense fog is also a major problem for airline traffic. The visibility reduction requires fewer landings and takeoffs, and if the fog is thick enough, can close the airport. When fog socks in airports, expect delays. The best course of action is to take along a good book. Dennis Smith, The Weather Channel.
Okay, here's your forecast, New Year's Day, and Happy New Year's from the Weather Channel as we kick off Monday, January 1st. And just in time for the new year, a big storm getting underway in northeastern Texas. The cold air drives south. It's a norther, as they say in Texas, and if you're going out to the parade in the morning or at the Cotton Bowl game in Dallas, it is going to be cold with temperatures falling, along with a possibility of a few snowflakes tomorrow afternoon in Dallas and some accumulating snow to the north from Oklahoma City up towards Kansas City. Most of what falls, though, tomorrow will be rain because where it's going to be cold enough for snow, the moisture will not have arrived yet. Heavy rains likely in Florida, downpours, storms at the Orange Bowl tomorrow night and tomorrow morning at the Outback Bowl in Tampa Bay. Western weather, cool high ridging in through the Rockies, so you'll be able to get out and enjoy the fresh powder west of Denver, the Wasatch, and an offshore flow, a little bit breezy below the passes and canyons in Los Angeles, but a warm, windy afternoon for the Rose Bowl. And tomorrow morning, the big parade, the Tournament of Roses parade, up Colorado Avenue up Colorado Avenue in Pasadena. Temperatures tomorrow morning around 50, and a lot of people actually camping out now to get that primo spot up front for the big parade tomorrow in Southern California. Rain in Florida continues. Snowfall through the southern plains. Some spots that don't often get snow, like Oak City, Amarillo, up to Kansas City. Of course, it's more typical in Kansas City to snow versus Oklahoma City. This will all be moving east and north in the days to come. Temperatures again very cold tonight in the northern plains, balmy in South Florida, and New Year's Day we start to see the influx of cold air, the warm air, a big battleground setting up for a big storm. With that forecast, here's Mike Bono.
Yes, those cold temperatures beginning to filter east. The last day, maybe, of the warm weather in the southeast, coming in with 60s in Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, South Carolina, and on up to about Raleigh, Durham. And look at the 70s, not only Rose Bowl day, but onward and into the new year. You're going to have some nice weather in Southern California. But look at this. Single digits, Minneapolis. Some near freezing weather Wednesday, New York City. This is going to be nip and tuck with a storm developing on the East Coast, and 40s well into the deep south. The 70s kind of shrivel into areas around Palm Springs. A little bit cooler weather moving into Southern Cal and the desert. Here we go. Take a look at it. A mixture. New York City, our best bet right now. New Jersey, low pressure comes into the Ohio Valley, then redevelops in the coastal plain, scoots on up and offshore. That's the best bet right now. So any rain will probably turn to snow. There could even be some freezing rain thrown in that part of the world in the northeast. Snow showers into the lakes and on into the Rockies. There could even be a little bit more snow toward the end of the week in the Rockies than we show here as a Colorado low begins to develop by about Saturday with cold air out ahead of it throughout just about the entire United States by that time. Right now, it looks like we've got the Outback Bowl for tomorrow at 11 a.m. in Tampa, looking pretty nice. So a few showers in the area. Jacksonville, some showers, but upper 60s is better than you've been used to. Moving along on College Bowl Day, New Year's Day, 1996, Dallas could have a few snow flurries in the mid-30s by afternoon, probably above freezing in the morning, dropping through the day. The Rose Bowl in Pasadena. This has got to be one of the best weather picks of the day. Sunny, breezy, mid-70s by mid to late afternoon. And as we move on into the Orange Bowl, Notre Dame, Florida State, upper 70s, but there could be showers or thunderstorms in the area. Even in the evening, though, upper 70s. Fiesta Bowl in Tempe, Arizona, upper 60s, clear, breezy. Can you beat that? You could see forever in Arizona by tomorrow afternoon.
And we'll be watching the developing weather picture on the East Coast. Likely some flight delays in the Northeast coming up Tuesday and Wednesday, much like a couple weeks ago. At least it's after New Year's Day, though.
Right. Of course, drive very carefully tonight and tomorrow.
Fog is basically a cloud, and we'll talk more about all the fog, but right now we're looking at up above, and just a lot of clouds and moisture in the east, more energy here. We know it's a little twist in the clouds there. That's low pressure in the atmosphere. Low pressure means stormy weather, and that is what's happening out there. Low pressure developing here in Texas. We've got some rain and snow there. Rain developing through the east right now, and luckily it's just rain now. A little snow in upstate New York, but this moisture is headed up the coast, especially as this low turns the corner, so there's a lot happening. A little cold air to the north tonight, where it is snowing. Most of this you're seeing here through the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin is all snow. Now this is basically all rain in the east and kind of a mixed bag coming out of the mountains in the west. Let's go in close and show you Florida, where we have some thunder showers here in the Panhandle. Quiet and rain is still in the forecast. Pittsburgh, showers and a little bit of snow now in some of the mountains here, the Allegheny Mountains. New York City, a few sprinkles coming down around the area, but it should be rain tonight. It's later in the forecast where it could mix in with some snow, and it could be a problem. Now here's what we have for you temperature-wise. The coldest air is still bottled up in Canada for now, and hopefully it'll stay that way as we go into 1996, but I think some of it's going to be coming down. We'll talk about that coming up.
Many areas across the U.S.
There, find someone to get you a ride, because we do have some pretty messy weather. Of course, the snow is the worst thing to be driving on, or ice, as we will have some of that in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri through tomorrow, and some of that could become heavy. This low pressure is going to get a little more energetic, and it'll really start to put down the snow tomorrow night into Tuesday, and eventually we think some snow up into Boston, maybe north of New York City, but it looks like a fairly dry day Monday, maybe a few morning showers. Precipitation is going to be light in the Ohio Valley, heaviest across the south, and as you get down into Florida, some heavy rain and thunderstorms will be developing. Not to mention even a little strong or severe thunderstorm activity in the south during the day tomorrow. Here's our big stripe of snow coming out of the Rockies into the plains and heading through Chicago and Milwaukee, maybe Detroit, seeing an inch or two before dinner time tomorrow. And starting off the day, chilly in the west, still mild in the east, and that'll be the same story tomorrow with more of a southerly flow and a wet, soggy day here as the snow develops in the colder air. What happens after this? Let's find out.
Well, here's how it looks for Tuesday.
This Weather Extra.
Watching the Weather Channel for accurate
Huge area of fog that has already developed and is expected to get even worse, if anything, as we go on through the day. Low pressure with some snow cranking in Garden City, Kansas, out toward Denver, Colorado, even more so the mountains, and actually the visibilities are better there than they are further east in this sort of gray area between low pressure systems. We paint it yellow. That's a lot of fog. Some rain developing in Pennsylvania, but it doesn't look like it'll get into Times Square for the apple coming down at midnight. In Georgia, the peach comes down a little wet, a little misty, but not too bad. There's your problem, some snow that may or may not get up to 3 inches in parts of Oklahoma and on into Missouri. Some fog on the west coast, even east of the Cascades, as we see snow over the mountains of Colorado spreading into New Mexico, and a few more snow showers in Wyoming. So the cold air is coming down, but high pressure dominates California, and that could mean more fog, especially in the Central Valley and out toward the coastline. Some light snows, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, accumulating lightly and making for a wintry scene, but a treacherous driving scenario in that part of the country, and a mixture of precipitation in the northeast. But the south, well, Miami did dodge the bullet for the Orange Bowl parade, but some rain moving in, especially in northern Florida. Atlanta has had up to a ½ an inch south side of town. Things really spinning now around Kansas and Oklahoma, the upper level low developing. Texas getting ready for some colder weather for the Cotton Bowl, and some rain moving northward in parts of the Carolinas. Look at all this on radar. This is snow aloft. New York City for the big midnight hour, getting mostly cloudy skies and a few snowflakes west of town, a few raindrops south of town. You could see that well after midnight in New York, maybe something frozen or liquid falling from the sky. Let's take a look at the big picture once again. Light winds as we go on into the first of the year. Could be a mixture. There already is in eastern Pennsylvania. Looking at 43 Atlanta, 70 in Miami. For the Orange Bowl, 82 during the day, a little cooler by evening, and thunderstorms rumbling through the midsection. From below freezing with a threat of some snow, and even more so back to Des Moines, we go to the west with chilly overnight readings. Watch out for that fog lasting most of the day, though, in the San Joaquin Valley.